Namaste. From the perspective of the mind, there is a beginning and an end. Why? Because mind is finite. That's how it can handle things. So it says birth and death, beginning and end. When was the creation born? Earth born. So you'll say 13.9 billion years back. Or 8 billion, 13.8. When will it end? 5,000 billion years or million years, whatever is the data. When the sun will grow cold eventually, then the earth will end. This is how our mind works. But that's not how things are. There is a perpetual, there is no beginning and no end, not only of the creator, but even of the creation, because creation is a constant manifestation of the divine who is infinite. But it enters into a finite scope. That means the forms, institutions, all this will go up and down. But creation doesn't have a beginning and creation doesn't have an end. So too the journey of the soul has no end. It takes a form and it dies. Now for some people, it is very frightening because the mind wants an end. Mind says, give me the goal, next goal. What should I do? Like some people initially used to tell me during the talk, sir, why don't you make a slide presentation, PowerPoint presentation, with bullet points, 1, 2, 3, 4. I said, because that's not how life operates. That's not how God operates. God has a tendency to jump from point 1 to 10, going back to 3, then 5. He jumbles up and there is a great joy in it. Why do you want that 1 to? This is the way mind approaches. But not the... Have you ever seen divine consciousness? Everything is going so beautifully. Suddenly, at the most unexpected point, it will change. Look at it, our own 50th year of Auroville. We had all the 2018, no? All the centenaries. What happened in 2019? Year of Superman, wonderful. 2020, we were all waiting. Suddenly there is an eclipsing. Divine doesn't work like that. But if you look at the deeper symbol, it's so powerful. We had all these centenaries. Half centenary or 3/4 centenary. We knew that she is coming. What was our preparation? So she said, okay, you want my Kali form rather than the Gauri form. I'll come anyways. So she came. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. It's a different matter whether we have woken up or not. But here in this poem, the end, Sri Aurobindo brings out this bhava. Is really there an end? So some people are very frightened when they think about endless beginning and end. Endless manifestation. But for others, it's a tonic. You know why? What end means? End means death. The moment we stop progressing, the moment we say, I have achieved, this bourgeois mentality, Sri Aurobindo speaks of the bourgeois and the samurai. So when you say, oh, now I am retired, means now you have already told Yamaraj is keeping an account. Who all are retired? Who all are retired? Acha, this fellow is also retired. Okay, kab isko uthana hai? Matlab. There's a nice little story I read today. Earlier also I've read it. But the moral of the story, whatever it be. But I love to take out my own morals. Whether the story is true or not is not important. That there is an elephant who has served the king faithfully. And then he grows old. He has participated in many battles. And one day, when he grows old, some people say that, discard him. He says, no, he has served me. Let us look after him. So they look after the elephant. In his retinue, he goes, though he cannot now do that kind of work. So one day, because in an old elephant, he enters by mistake, a mud pool. And he can't now pull himself out. So it is like, he is being sucked into the mud, and the more he tries, the more he is pulled into it. So, this is a very interesting symbol. When you are in the mud pool, what do you do? What do you do? That's the other story I'll tell you. What do you do when you are stuck in that? So he trumpets and, everybody comes, king comes, everybody, and they say, Are, he is caught in the mud. What to do? They don't know. They are trying. He's an elephant. You can't just lift him out like that. And then we have this Buddha coming by. Buddha again is not just one person. So Buddha sees and says, oh, this is very simple. You play the war trumpets, war drums. So they don't understand what it means. But the moment they play the war drums, he feels that great enthusiasm and joy, a motive to live. You see, this saying that thing is end, that means there is no further motive. I have achieved. Some people want, oh, I want to have this experience, and no, it should be wonderful. You remain young forever when you feel there is something more, something more. It's so beautiful because the divine is a child. He has a child heart and he is forever young. That's why he's created an endless universe. And we think, oh my God, we should love his creativity. That he doesn't want the game to end like this. He wants an ever ascending perfection. Like perfection is not an end, but an ever unfolding process. It's like level 1 of a game, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. So game doesn't end, it only changes its levels. And that's how there is no end. There is a constant progression. Before we come to the poem, the other story. What do you do when you are caught in the mud? So there was a cow who was being chased by the tiger. And as she is running, not knowing clumsily, she enters into again a mud pool. Now she can't escape. The tiger also leaps. Now he is also in the mud pool. Can't do anything. Both are caught. So the tiger is snarling, you are my food, my meat, I am going to kill you. The cow is comfortable. So after some time the tiger says, by the way, aren't you tense? Because after some time he realizes both are sinking. Aren't you tense? So the cow says, no. Why? He says, because I have a master. In the evening, he will see, he will take a count and he will know that I am missing. He will come. What about you, tiger? Do you have a master? He says, no, I don't have a master. Sure enough, in the evening, master comes, sees the cow, takes it happily, gives her a nice bath. So when you are caught in the mud pool, call the master. Okay? As simple as that. Well, that was an aside. So this wonderful poem on page 643, lyrical poems, The End. Now see, Sri Aurobindo's master pen. So how does he title the poem? The End? Question mark. That explains it. That one, perfect perfection. A question mark. That says it all. Is really there an end? That's how he is saying. Is really there an end? Is this the end of all that we have been? Nowadays people talk about end of the world, end of creation, end of everything. Is this the end? Is this how civilization is going to finish? Is this the end of all that we have been and all we did or dreamed? A name unremembered and a form undone. Is this the end? After we die means the body dies. Name, for how long? We don't know. After 2 generations, even your grandchild, nowadays even grandchild, parents' name will remember. Dadaji hai ki Nanaji, I am not sure. But my granddad. Then the other one will say, no, it's your cousin grandfather. Oh, acha, sorry. Name and form. So is this the end? That it's all undone? A body rotting under a slab of stone or turned to ash in fire. A mind dissolved, lost its forgotten thoughts. Is this the end? People often say, no? देखो, अंत में यही होता है. This what happens. You die. No, sir. We don't die. We live forever. Death is a stairway, a stumbling stride that the soul must take in its road towards immortality. But when you look at it outwardly, it looks like it is the end. Our little hours that were and are no more, our passions once so high, dying mocked by the still earth and calm sunshine. Is this the end? Go back, Just imagine, it is so invigorating. Imagine an Arjuna, a point of time. The other day we were watching. Just to imagine that there was a person who enters into the Sabha and it is said that when he just pulled the string of Gandiv and left it, The sound made the enemy camps terrified because they could recognize it's Arjuna. Such a warrior who with a single arrow could finish the entire Kaurava army. Pashupatastra never used these Divyastra. Imagine Achilles, that the entire Trojan side and the Greeks, they are both worried which side this guy is going to fight. He had given a fighting, he had started plowing the soil. And when Agamemnon calls him, he says, no, 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 I don't want to fight, I have a little baby, all this. Then Odysseus goes and convinces him, see, a whole civilization is at stake. You want to rest and enjoy. So now he knows that this battle is going to be his end. But he goes and fights. Imagine what kind of warriors they were, that, they could bring the gods down. And yet, where are they? Is this the end? It mocks our yearnings for the human Godward climb, passing to other hearts, deceived, while sings towards death and hell the world. Is this the end? Even those who inspired others, set fire in their hearts, they too pass seemingly into the oblivion. So there is a question mark after each one. There is a very nice or not depends on how you look at it. Ghazal. So the ghazal is like this. Koi paas aaya savere savere mujhe आजमाया सवेरे सवेरे जो कहता था कल शब संभलना संभलना वही लड़खड़ाया सवेरे सवेरे. It's like who was telling careful, careful, caution, caution, while he was cautioning everybody. It's a dangerous job, by the way. Don't do this, you may fall down. So while he was busy telling others, of course it can be interpreted at different levels. He was the one who was stumbling when they saw in the morning. But it's understandable, no? Because he was cautioning everybody. So this yearning passed into other hearts. Yet the person goes down, seemingly as if it has ended. People ask these questions. Fallen is the harp, shattered it lies and mute. Is the unseen player dead? Is Vyasa dead? Is Krishna dead? Oh, they continue. Sometimes the word used is that the legacy continues in different ways. So here he is starting step by step. That the harp is broken. Has the music died? Is the player dead? Because the tree is felled where the bird sang, must the song too hush. So here we have these three levels. There is the force that used the player. There is an unseen player who used the musician for the playing out music. That unseen player will use other musicians too. There was a beautiful story which whenever people start giving tributes, somehow, this whole idea of glorifying a human personality without reference to the divine. Yes, you can, if at all, but with reference to the divine. Otherwise, it has no meaning at all. So when Bismillah Khan, see, what is true spirituality? There was a movie on Bismillah Khan. It was shown in Playground also. So at the end of the story, they've taken out clips and all that. So there is somebody asking Bismillah Khan. Everybody says, how great is Bismillah Khan? What do you have to say about it? He says, everybody says Bismillah Khan's phunk, he is blowing the air through which the Shehnai is so wonderful. Everybody says Bismillah Khan's Shehnai is so wonderful. Everybody says Bismillah Khan's music is so wonderful. But nobody says the wonder of wonders who made a Bismillah Khan. Bismillah Khan को किसने बनाया? असल बात तो उनकी है. So this is the way to look at, all greatness belongs to the divine. Greatness of the great, it belongs to the divine. There is nothing which is personal. So, because the trees fell where the birds sang, must the song to hush. One in the mind who planted and willed and thought, worked to reshape earth's fate. One in the heart who loved and yearned and hoped. Does he too end? The body falls. The personality dissolves. Even the personality doesn't go. So, there's a whole aphorism of Sri Aurobindo, and the mother speaks about it. She says, what is dissolved? The body is dissolved. What about a personality? That too goes away. What is that personality? The surface personality, I'm this, I'm that. All our achievements, degrees, they end. We don't carry them. So, what really goes? There is something that goes. And that something is the one which has taken a whole life's experience of this journey, this aspiration, the hope. They are the ones which will decide the curve of fate in another life. They will never die. The aspiration in the heart never dies. It doesn't die with death. It returns. It returns in a better body, better equipped, better prepared. The hopes of today. A beautiful line in Savitri. The high gods pick and choose in man today's impossibles for the future's base. And in Savitri, there is a whole passage like that. His failure is not failure whom God leads. How shall the end be vain when God is guide? Even when the human will is unable to strive. But who is the guide, the pilot of a pilgrimage? So, does he to end? He's asking this question. One in the mind who planned and willed and thought. This is a power beyond. See, that is the Kena Upanishad, but Sri Aurobindo is bringing in a nice way. Yan mansana manute yenahur manovatang. How is he bringing it? In such a beautiful way. Lyrical way. What, see, the Kena Upanishad starts like that. Kena Prishitam. How, what sends the thought on its errand? So he's saying, the one who sent the thought on its errand, who planned and willed, does he to end? There is something greater which has implants these things inside us. It's not just a babble of matter, of neurons. And then he says, who is he who has planned this entire thing? The singer, the ultimate singer, whose song is there, which this voice or that music brings out from the heavens right up to the earth and below. The immortal in the mortal is his name. What is the name? All other names are temporary, but he is immortal in the mortal. Immortal in our mortal poverty. Amritasya putraha. Anandasya putraha. That's his name. An artist Godhead here ever remolds himself in diviner shapes, unwilling to cease. See, whenever we feel like giving up, for whatever reason, just remember that there is somebody who has been laboring from how many billion years. He doesn't give up on us. We give up so soon. 1 year, 2 years of this, whatever eclipse, end of the world, straight away, pralay aa gaya. Khatam hone wale hain sab. Suddenly, we give up so soon because we don't rely on the Creator. He never gives up. So, you see, I often say in Indian movies and Western movie, now things have changed. You will see a difference. So, in Indian movies, the moment there is a crisis, so what does the hero and everybody does? Allah tero naam, Vishwara tero naam. They are praying. They begin to start praying. And then there is that lightning and thunder and or the heroine is dancing, singing a Shiva Soul's throat, and suddenly there is lightning, thunder and the Trishul comes out. And it pierces the demon. This is one way, huh? And in the Western context, what you will see, he's not praying, the hero is not praying. But he will refuse to give up. And suddenly he will see there is the piece of glass with which he can, seen that movie Dar. Looks like now he's gone. But suddenly last minute he discovered. So that's how now our movies have also become, clued up. In the end, if you have the hope, you actually have the chance. When is the cause given up? When you are given up in the heart. So he picks up and finds a way to finish, because it's all battles are ultimately a battle of will. Whether it be with seen forces or unseen forces. Sri Aurobindo says that if I If you must fight, first he says to fight for a personal cause is not noble, but to fight for a great cause is something noble. To fight for an ideal, and then he says, if you must fight, fight. If you can fight with your hands and feet, fight. If you cannot fight with your hands and feet, fight with your speech. If your speech is silenced, still fight with the will and faith in your heart. See, that's why it is said, no idea cannot die like that. And whatever you may do, you have to go back to the idea, and unless the idea either goes back into the source or you find a way to annihilate it, if the idea remains, you will see that new breed will come up. This is one of the problem of terrorism, by the way. You have to go back to the idea that gave birth to this kind of a doctrine. And if you can't do something about it, take it that earth will always be run over by this kind of impulse. You have to go back to that and find a greater idea in which it can be either dissolved. It's like the Mahatma who used to worry a lady, and she told mother, I am unable to do anything about it. So he says, what does the Mahatma do? He keeps pointing me right and wrong. It's very annoying. Okay, it's very annoying to tell people right and wrong. So it's very annoying. So what do I do? Mother didn't say it's a good thing he is doing, He is telling you right and wrong. She would say it's an adverse force which always says, does this. Divine doesn't operate like that. So she said, but you are the one who has created this Mahatma with your conception. So what do I do now? Take him back. You want to finish it, you can't, because he's supported by your energy. So absorb him back into yourself. So this is how he is revealing to us that he is ever remolding himself in diviner shapes. All forms and names are his names and forms through which he is trying to manifest himself in beast and bird and stone. First he makes rivers and mountains and galaxies. And he says, wonderful, there is a nice home. And then he says, no, it's not enough. I want to make a conscious home. Okay? So then a journey starts on earth. The first laboratory, original laboratory, earth. God is doing experiment with nature. Only 2 people in the laboratory. And they take out, mountains, rivers, still more conscious forms. So plant and flowers and bird and beast. Then man. Now in man, there is a third partner in the laboratory. You also collaborate. Okay? So man becomes the laboratory, the second laboratory of God. Where through conscious processes, we don't realize that we are a laboratory. That's why I keep telling people. People say yoga and all this is fine, but science in the lab. I said, the difference? Scientific laboratory researches can hardly be verified by few people in special labs. So what about yoga? It's a belief system. No, yoga can be verified by every person. Why? Because the laboratory is yourself. You are the laboratory. You're carrying it like a living laboratory. Each time you fall sick, try to apply what Mother and Sri Aurobindo have said. See the results. As simple as that. So it's the laboratory, living laboratory. So in this laboratory, man eventually can consciously become one with the divine. So the divine says this wonderful, but no, the work is not over. Each cell, each unit must become conscious and unite with the divine. So he is remolding himself till eventually out of man, a diviner being will emerge, unwilling to cease. Till all is done for which the stars were made. What was the stars? Just a canopy. Like, you go for watching a play. So what is the first thing that happens? There is darkness. And then you see lights. These lights are switched off and the stage lights are on. So okay, now the play is going to start. Stars are like that. You see how Savitri starts? That background stage, star-studded space. What a wonderful stage he created. So, till all is done for which the stars were made, till the heart discovers God. So if somebody thinks retirement time, let me rest. So that's why this idea that people have that, oh, my work has been snatched away. Nobody can snatch the original work, which is to find God. Nobody can take it away. Nobody can oppose it. Even, in fact, everything that opposes it can actually end up feeding it. Even if you are driven out of everywhere into the far desert of Arabia, This work is something. If you take this as the work, then nothing matters. But if this is not the work, then everything else matters. Small little things. Till the heart discovers God. And the soul knows itself. So, this is at least the first part of the journey. Forms, names come, go, bodies break, personalities, all our thoughts, hopes, dreams, desires, they will go, vanish. But the aspiration will continue till the heart has discovered God and we know ourselves as the soul. What happens then? And even then, there is no end. What a beautiful thing it is. Why? Because then you have discovered God within yourself. But this whole world should be flooded with God. Till every grain of sand is molded into the perfect urn. Namaste.